Hello, everybody. Welcome to semifinal Saturday, aka Salty Saturday. It is an exciting time to be here for some THL matches because we have two big playoff matches from the same semifinals series in our Hero series. I am Donde. I'm excited. If you can't tell, I'm here with Markshire. Markshire, how are you doing tonight?
Donde, I am doing great. I am excited to see some hero semifinal action and see what these players have chosen to bring after the recent balance patch. I've been watching a good amount of Masters Tour recently. It's been nice to see what players have come up with a limited amount of time to prepare. And I think it's the same for the players that we're going to see tonight. They've had a couple more days, but still just a little bit of time to figure out what works and what doesn't after the pretty significant changes that we saw on Tuesday. So it'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely the most changes we've seen over the course of a single THL season. So it is interesting to see how
Mhm.
players do adjust as time goes on. Obviously, these teams and these players have adjusted well because they're in the playoffs right now. Well, almost every other team is just sitting on the sideline watching. And as you mentioned, this is a closeless format, so these players, although they selected their classes on Thursday, have had a few more days to kind of think about the exact card choices in the decks, the archetypes they want to run. So I think we're going to see something interesting tonight, maybe a little bit different than what we've been seeing in the most recent weeks.
Absolutely. And one thing that I've been noticing watching Masters Tour is that Quest Warlock has really made a resurgence. Some of the nerfs to some of the more aggressive decks. And I think people predicted that that would make Priest become more popular. So a lot of players brought Quest Warlock, which had sort of fallen out of favor. And we do see Electabuzz bringing the Warlock tonight. We don't know yet if that's Quest Warlock or maybe a Zoo or maybe something else entirely. But Donde, from your perspective, I know you actually did play in Hero Series this season, but it's been a while since I've seen LHS. Has Warlock been a pretty common pick over the past couple of weeks in LHS?
Yeah, once it became once Quest Warlock that is became a popular deck, it found its way into lineups. And being
Mhm.
LHS, you don't necessarily need to say, all right, I need this deck to be able to get through, potentially three bad matchups. You might just say, I need it for this one specific counter queue. So Warlock was more than fine as a choice in those specific instances. So I think looking at the lineups here, we've got two people bringing Warlock tonight. In the first series, we have Electabuzz, as you mentioned. We've got basedinc in the second series bringing Warlock. Both of them have paired it up
Mhm.
with Priest, which I find interesting. So there might be some thought process there that they're looking to target something in particular. We've seen Priest struggle a bit on stream if they're bringing the cube style Priest, so it'll be interesting to see if if that class doesn't get banned, if either of them can make it through.
Mhm.
Any wins with that. Obviously, you don't need to win with every deck here in last year's standings, so it's not necessarily a completely doom and gloom scenario if it doesn't win. It just means it goes 0-1.
Yeah, and yeah, Priest, one of those classes that I think a lot of people thought would be more popular in the Masters Tour. Turned out it wasn't that much, but it makes a lot of sense. Has a pretty good matchup against Warrior, so I imagine Electabuzz, and then Based probably bringing that as a Warrior counter, but has a pretty decent matchup spread across the board. So again, I think in LHS it kind of lends itself more to bringing some of those more polarized decks.
Absolutely. And it should also be mentioned that on top of the individual matchups we're seeing tonight, Spies That Flies, the team on the left of your screen here, represented by ChubbsPetersonsHand and basedinc, are both in the driver's seat in this series right now. They're up 8-2 over NoProsHere. So they're looking to clinch this thing right now, and technically, that doesn't even the second game of our night might not even be impactful to this series. However, we can assure you that Based and Pasca want to play. Pasca wants revenge. Basedinc has been the best player in Hero Series this season, so it'll be a great match regardless of the stakes. But we're hoping that at least we've got some interesting matches on tap here tonight. Like I said, Spies That Flies up 8-2, looking to see who goes to the finals versus the winner of Tam Pam Surf Slam and the Cult, who are currently it's 10-6 Cult right now. So that's a close series as well. And this is a playoff round that has really kind of met all of our expectations in terms of the quality of the matches so far. Even though Lotus Knight did sweep Skittles for Spies That Flies, and Lemur did get a 3-2 win over Disco so far, that definitely does not mean the series is over.
Absolutely. And I believe that those last two matches of Tampam's and Cult are being played at 10 p.m. Eastern. So by the
Yes.
end of the night, those two matches won't be on a THL stream because we'll be seeing Base versus Pasca instead. But we will definitely know who from that match will move forward. And I think it is definitely possible that, if Spies picks up a win with either Chubbs or Base tonight, we will know who will be moving forward to the finals, and we'll know both the finalists.
And we'll definitely try to keep everybody apprised of that series as it goes on. We might end up getting towards the end of our second game and getting the results there. So we'll try to keep everybody involved. And hey, maybe we can jump into a game later on in the evening if time permits. But for now, I've notified the players that they're okay to go ahead and ban. We haven't yet received any information on the bans, so they are in game right, or they're in the challenge right now, I should say. So hopefully we have that information shortly here, and then we can let them get going. But what are you excited for most in these lineups here tonight, Markshire?
I would say I am really excited to see the Warlock from Electabuzz. I think that looking at Chubb's decks, that it could be a zoo could be the right call here. Quest Warlock definitely the more popular deck overall, but I would not be surprised to see Electabuzz maybe go for a zoo, trying to beat up on that mage or that hunter a little bit more. So I'm really interested to see what deck Electabuzz chose to bring there.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the Demon Hunter decisions here. Three of the four players that brought Demon Hunter, as you mentioned, Masters Tour going on right now, in the last 2 days have shown that there's been some debate as to what are the right cards to be in it right now. Even if you're running a tempo style Demon Hunter, Warglave's not as good as it once was. Metamorphosis, is that still worthwhile inclusion in the deck? And then Magtheridon, that version of the deck has popped up a few times too. So there's definitely, seeing a Demon Hunter here on the screen does not mean roughly the 30 cards that someone's going to run anymore, especially in a closeless format. You're going to jump into the game and have to figure out, are they running a more control variant? Are they going to still be running a tempo variant? Like, there's a lot of options, and I think that makes this a lot more interesting than it was even just a few weeks ago.
No, absolutely. I've seen. I mean, some people are running a pretty standard tempo Demon Hunter list, but they've thrown in Escaped Mana Saber, for example. That's a card that can help bridge the gap to get to Warglaves. Now that it's 6 mana, you can Mana Saber, immediately equip Warglaves next turn, or just go for a Hero Power plus Glaive Bound Adept. But also, like you said, the Control Demon Hunter has been picking up steam. Some very prominent Masters Tour players, such as former THL player Eddie, chose to bring the Control Demon Hunter in his lineup. Definitely a solid choice. And in LHS, just definitely there's just a lot more opportunity for more deck variety, because you can tune your decks just to really hard counter one specific deck or maybe two specific decks from your opponent's lineup. And I think that's where a lesser known deck like Control Demon Hunter could really come into play and come in clutch for one of these players.
Absolutely. I think that there is it's hard to define, healthy meta versus an unhealthy meta in just a 3-day span from the patch. But it feels like right now there's a lot more variance going on with the decks, even within single classes, that it feels like if this was our meta for the entire season, it might have been a little bit more intriguing to more people. But unfortunately, there has been a lot of complaints about the quality of Conquest, for example. The variance in lineups is minimal usually, restricted to the classes that are flexible. But now we're seeing a lot more flexible classes, which means a lot more viable options, and it's an unfortunate thing that it is coming so late in the season. But hopefully we see that in the upcoming season as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Donde, do we have the bands in yet from
I am still
either
waiting
player?
to hear. I have not heard yet.
Cool.
We're just doing my best to get that info while still engaging our viewers in quality content here. We're just getting a little extra talk stone for you. I know Lemur's out there asking where's Hearth Center and where's Schoolstone. You're getting kind of okay. Bands are in now. Okay,
yeah, get a
good.
little mini version. Oh, nice. Okay.
I say that, but all I was told were bans are in. I don't know what those bans are yet. So I'm going to go ahead and
Ah,
pop those up here on the screen here in a second once they are relayed to me.
So we'll get those. We'll get those momentarily. Just looking at this, I was gonna say, not knowing them yet, I wouldn't be surprised to see Electabuzz ban the Hunter. That's probably assuming he brought Quest Warlock instead of Zoo. Both the Priest and the Quest Warlock seem to have pretty poor matchups against Highlander Hunter. So that seems like a pretty solid ban for him. And then on Chubb's side, maybe he could go with the Priest, not wanting to hit that Warrior into the Priest. But yeah, tough to say.
All right, well, I have the answers for you.
Great.
So we are going to see the Priest banned for Electabuzz.
Okay.
And Chubbs' Demon Hunter will be banned. So
okay, so I was
unique.
1 for 2.
Yeah. I mean, hey, that's, it's a coin flip meta, so a coin flip guess at the bans, I think that's just appropriate.
Of course, yeah, and not knowing any archetypes, tough to say. Demon Hunter, yeah, definitely a pretty reasonable ban. Electabuzz still, I think, respecting the power of the Tempo Demon Hunter, which would still be pretty favored against his, honestly, all of his decks, the Hunter, the Priest, and the Warlock. So, makes a lot of sense from Electabuzz.
Well, I've let the players know that we've got the bans in on screen, and they're ready to rock, so I've given them the go-ahead here, so it's going to be exciting. We're going to go ahead and jump into Game 1. Chubbs will be on the bottom of your screen, representing Spies That Flies. Electabuzz will be at the top of your screen, representing NoProsHere.
Awesome. Yeah, just about to get into it here. Electabuzz with his Priest band, I feel like he could just go for maybe, I think it really hinges on what that Warlock is. I feel pretty confident the Hunter is going to be a Highlander Hunter. And looking at the Demon Hunter ban, I would expect it to be a Tempo Demon Hunter and not a Control Demon Hunter from Electabuzz. So we could see him just maybe throw out the Demon Hunter to lead. I think he probably wants to save the Warlock, but again, I think that's sort of the key deck, that whatever that is, that's going to determine how the queue order plays out.
Well, we are about to find out, because it looks like they are starting, and we're loading up here to see.
Ooh, okay, and Electabuzz does go for the Warlock to start. Chubbs is on his Warrior, and this looks like a Pirate Warrior, Donde.
It sure does.
Skybarge, Bloodsail Raider. Whew.
So it's going to be aggressive, and it's definitely a Quest Warlock at the top, as we see the quest in the opening hand, as it is a requirement for Electabuzz there. But he's in okay position with the Dark Skies, but not like in the Aranasi Broodmother being in the opening hand. You want to draw into that and not have it at the outset of the game.
Definitely not the ideal start. Chubbs here, Pirate Warrior definitely overall is a favored matchup, although he doesn't quite yet have a weapon in hand or Corsair Cache, which I think is really key. That's what a lot of your cards synergize with. That's how you push base damage, but has a pretty decent curve here, so I think he's in a solid spot looking at the start of this game.
Yeah, Electabuzz just going to tap onto normal move there for the Quest Warlock. Does pick up the Moark Artificer, which can help with the Mortal Coil. It can also, if he picks up a Nether Breath, really keep him stable throughout the mid-range of this game.
Definitely, and Chubbs here, I think thinking about coining out that Skybarge, and it makes sense. The 5 health is very, very difficult for Electabuzz to deal with without spending a Soulfire. It would have to be a Soulfire, Another Breath in conjunction with a Mortal Coil, and then if this sticks, he can play 2 Pirates next turn.
Yeah, and just looking at math, obviously the Dark Skies, has 6 cards in hand for Electabuzz. That does not clear this board, which with 5 health for Skybarge means that it's more likely to survive and at least, as you mentioned, get value going into the next turn. But Electabuzz is trying to find a way to, if he can deal with this in any capacity, just opts to Mortal Coil away the 1/2, draw a card.
And this Artificer Coil, it's the highest, it's the most tempo, it's I think the most aggressive play for the board. It's just unfortunate because it could just get taken out by these cannon hits from the Skybarge.
And that's exactly what happens.
Wow.
You think it and say it, and it happens immediately. And that was the worst case scenario there for Electabuzz, as that Artificer is now gone, and the board is not lost entirely at this point. He's got options in hand to at least reclaim some of it, but he is not in great shape here going into the fourth turn of this game.
This is tough, especially with that first Artificer already gone. I'm not surprised to see him going with the tap plot twist here, but it's kind of hard for the quest lock to come back when it's very far behind on the board if it doesn't have Artificer to combo with Dark Skies or maybe a Rain of Fire or another Breath here. So it's really just on what Electabuzz picks up from this plot twist here to hope that he has an answer.
Well, Broodmother's a good start. Little free heal there, a Zephyrus, which won't be active. Alright, so he picks up the Ooze, which is at least a counterplay to a Corsair Cache. There it is for Chubbs. However, that is not going to enable him to play any weapon this turn, so might be something where he holds off for at least one more turn. Fortunately for Electabuzz, Chubbs' hand is a little heavy, or heavier than you would like it to be as the Pirate Warrior. You'd like to be plopping more things down and pushing more damage here, but right now he's only got the Blazing Battle Mage now as an option after playing that Corsair Cache.
Yeah, and just like, I kind of think I'd like to see the Socket Sapphire instead, just getting a 4/4 on the board, because it's so hard for the quest lock to deal with, and maybe saving Corsair Cache for next turn where you can combo it with the actual weapon that you draw. Electabuzz now has access to Moarg plus Dark Skies, but would this be a full clear?
It's let's see, it's gonna be 6, so it's effectively 12 damage. It's not necessarily a guaranteed full clear if it hits his Artificer enough, but
okay,
wow, dodged the Artificer entirely.
That's definitely a little bit of a lucky hit there from Electabuzz, but yeah, almost clearing off the entire board. But Chubbs does have a pretty solid answer here with the Livewire Lance. He can at least clear off the Moarg and develop a Dread Corsair.
But that being said, he's got to feel at least, he had the board, really didn't dig too hard into the Warlock's life total, as much as an aggro deck would like to be doing in the first few turns. And I think you're right. I think the Sapper would have been the play that I would have gone with on the previous turn, because you could just combine the Corsair Cache with whatever weapon you drew. But this is an all right spot now. Electabuzz here. I got to imagine the Ooze is coming down.
It's got to be the Ooze. That was a really strong pickup for Electabuzz off the plot twist. Ooh, and he gets the Broodmother too with the Ooze.
Yes.
Very strong turn for Electabuzz. Yeah, I mean, sitting at 24 health here, you have to feel like you're in a pretty good spot here against a Pirate Warrior.
Definitely. And for anybody who's been watching Masters Tour for the last few days, we are experiencing the spectate bug that they too experience during these games. If you see a card that is overturned, with the card back facing us, that is a Broodmother in hand, and that is why it is that way. So I apologize. Nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, just unfortunate, but yeah, even the pros are dealing with that. Hopefully that gets fixed somewhat soon. But yeah, is it always in fact a Broodmother when it's overturned like that, or has it been other things? Okay,
it has always been a Broodmother because it reveals itself, and then it's supposed to flip back over, but it has not flipped back over.
Makes sense. This Netherwing pickup is not the Netherwing pickup. Malagos pickup activating the Netherwing is very strong, but I like choosing to go for the Mortal Coil first. You don't know how often you're going to be able to get the draw off of that, and Electabuzz is so close to completing the quest now.
Very, very close, and Chubbs is kind of sitting here again, heavier hand. He picked up Deathwing off of that Dragon Lackey, and that is not typically a card that you want to use with an aggro deck. However, I guess he's seeing the possibility that at one point he might just be out of cards here, and Deathwing is the final kind of push he might need to finish out this game.
Last minute finisher. It could work out. Yeah, I think the other choices were Alexstrasza and Cobalt Spellkin. Sorry, but it could make sense. The Quest Warlock has access to Caladan and Twisting Nether as hard removal, but if those aren't in hand, then maybe the Deathwing could end up sticking and being that final push that Chubbs needs to close out the game.
Right, and I mean, I guess the downside is for a Warlock, you typically want to utilize that Malagos combo, kill your opponent all in the same turn. So it might not. It might. So we're going to see that Netherwing get sent back to hand here. It might not matter because the Deathwing will never really have a chance to counter any play that Electabuzz is looking to finish the game with. However, Electabuzz now has options to play down here. If he wants to go ahead and replay the Netherwing, he certainly can. Broodmother might be another choice, though. He might want to keep that in hand to try and pick it up again off of a second Plot Twist, if necessary.
Yeah, solid point. I think I kind of prefer the Broodmother. Just getting the taunt on board seems strong, and he doesn't have Plot Twist in hand yet. He's going to choose to not develop anything and just tap. This does guarantee that next turn he will complete the quest and be able to start his turn with a 2-mana Tome of Origination. So, makes sense there.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the in-depth nuances of Quest Warlock versus Pirate Warrior, or just a really aggressive deck. But he's been looking at his opponent. He's got a lot of cards on that left side of the hand that he has not been playing. So he's got to imagine that either it's very clunky or they're just not really fitting kind of the theme that the deck is going for. So maybe he felt safer going with a little slower route, taking the tap there, especially with an empty board.
Yeah, and we can see, Chubbs has had some awkward turns, and right now he's sitting with a Deathwing in hand and a Mortal Strike that it doesn't look like is going to be procced anytime soon. I imagine that Electabuzz will avoid damaging Chubbs directly until he's looking to close out the game, so it's probably just going to be a 4-mana deal 4 damage. Electabuzz, on the other hand, now has a lot of options here. The Plot Twist pickup is very compelling.
Yeah, might just start with the Netherwing here and then rip into the Plot Twist. And we're definitely going to see the Netherwing, but he's down to 11 health. Plot Twist to hopefully redraw some of those Broodmothers and heal himself.
I mean, if he doesn't pick up any of them here, he could be in a rough spot, but okay.
Never mind.
Just the first card he draws, why not?
And a double Cartoot draw as well. And looks like we might have a disconnect here. Are you getting a disconnect message?
I briefly saw that pop up, so it looks like it did on stream. But yeah, I think we're good now. Electabuzz looking to be in a strong spot. That Caladan is not exactly what he wants, but could be an answer to Deathwing, which I think we might see come down next turn for Chubbs.
Yeah, I think looking at the hand now and what Electabuzz has for answers, that's so much healing over the next few turns. Like Cartoot, there's really no way for the Pirate Warrior to get through Cartoot other than just hacking at it. And there's no silence effects. There's no way to, other than Mortal Strike, to really go over it. Maybe a shooty lackey, as they are known. But you need a lot of them, and that's not enough at the current rate to get there. So I would be surprised if Electabuzz was not going to take this game from this position.
Yeah, well, so to be fair, it's possible that Chubbs does run a silence effect. It generally isn't run in Pirate Warrior, but of course this is closed deck list, so he could be running it. But yeah, at this point, the Cartoot coming down combined with the hero power, I think that just puts Electabuzz very ahead. It's gonna be tough for Chubbs to come back.
And the free Malagos.
It's gonna make it even harder. He can go Malagos Nether Breath here with the Cartoot.
I mean, the game could just end. Like, he can use Malagos, Nether Breath, and then he's got two Soulfires in hand. So if the Soulfire doesn't discard the other Soulfire, or does he have? He has Rain of Fire. Oh yeah, he's got enough. If you order this correctly.
Is this? Oh yeah, yep.
I'm not sure why.
Is this? It's still lethal.
It's got to be still lethal.
It's still guaranteed lethal. Yeah.
With the Rain of Fire. Yeah, it was just a little bit different ordering than not the maximum amount of damage available, but it's still enough because the combo with Malagos is quite strong when Malagos is free.
Yeah, some very nice taps from Electabuzz down the line, and he's going to go up 1-0. And you have to think that that Pirate Warrior was one of those decks that Chubbs was saving as a Quest Warlock counter when he thought about his ban and thought about his lineup. Warrior definitely favored into that, so now he'll have to pivot. But whatever Hunter he has is probably going to be favored against the Quest Warlock here.
So that might be what we see as, for those who are just tuning in or not familiar with the last hero standing format, differing from Conquest insofar as you do not have to win with every deck you bring, you just have to not lose with every deck you bring. So that means that the Warlock is going to be featured over and over again until Electabuzz loses with it, which is what we're seeing here as we get into game 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it does look like it's a Highlander Hunter from Chubbs here. This opening hand is probably going to want to throw all of this back. I think against the Warlock, you're really looking for a very aggressive early curve and maybe also Brand, but he chooses to keep the Zexor here. Still 3 mana. I think I would have liked to throw that back, but it is a sort of an early game minion that you shuffle Zexor Prime in early that could end up paying dividends later in the game.
And Electabuzz with the quest on 1. So far, flawless gameplay from the Warlock side of the table. At least in this game.
Yeah, Chubbs just doesn't have anything, can't really coin out an ooze here with not much follow-up, so he's just going to pass, and then this is probably just an easy tap for Electabuzz.
I do find it interesting seeing the Explosive Trap in Chubbs' hand that this is going to have at least I would imagine, a Phase Stalker in the deck, and maybe at least one more secret. Not the most popular list at the moment. From what I've seen, most players are dropping the secret package and going, with other techs instead.
Definitely interesting. The secret package, I still run into it on ladder, but usually when players have that, they're running maybe a Snake Trap and Freezing Trap and not Explosive. So it is a little bit surprising to see it here, and it probably won't get much use in this particular matchup.
No, in this matchup, absolutely not. I think, I think that's something that really, if you were worried about a Zoo Warlock, for example, looking at, I guess, Demon Hunters in Electabuzz's lineup, so it's definitely decent against Demon Hunter.
Yeah, Demon Hunter tech probably is what he was thinking, or he maybe predicted a Zoo, but over here, very clear from Electabuzz with the Artificer into Nether Breath, and now Chubbs here maybe just looking to Griffin to clear this off.
Well, the good news is I was going to say that he gets to draw a Rush minion and hoping to just immediately take that Zexor Prime and pull it out of his deck. However, ends up with the Faceless Corruptor instead. Not terrible. If he's running Scavenger's Ingenuity now, he can 100% guarantee draw that Zexor Prime if he's not running any other beasts.
Yeah, so that can, that could come in handy down the line. Electabuzz here, starting with the tap. He could get greedy and go with Sense Demons, but is just going to go ahead and go for the plot twist anyways. Either line, I think, is pretty solid.
Well, it pays off as well as he gets Sense Demons back, and there's one of the Broodmothers anyway. Ooh. So I think that was the right move. Being at full health already, there wasn't necessarily as much of a reason other than to try and complete the quest faster. But plot twist seems like a perfectly fine decision in that spot, I would imagine.
Yep. Makes sense. And Chubbs here is finally going to be able to get something on the board. And with the Dragonbane coin hero power, he could push 7. Kind of liked seeing that, but Whelp instead into the Zexor Prime. It won't get the buff from Scavenger's Ingenuity, but that's still a lot of stats rate mana.
And we see a double Broodmother draw from Electabuzz, so both Broodmothers in hand not getting any value of the heal there, but also kind of bricking Sense Demons a little bit, since now we've already seen one Moarg get used, which means it's not going to draw more than one card for him at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so here, Electabuzz, he could go for the Dark Skies here, but could just play a Taunt instead. I think you kind of want to save Kartut for where you get some value out of the healing, so throwing down the 7/7 Taunt seems good.
And I do like the fact that at this point in the game, Chubbs has saved the coin, and he's got a lot of power options. And it should be noted, of course, as part of that nerf package that came out, the Dragon Queen changes. Now those dragons will cost you 1. So it's not as much of a swing turn as it once was. It is still, however, not a terribly low-powered card. However, it just means that a lot of the time you're going to play it on 9, and it's an 8/8 that doesn't do anything else for you immediately.
Yeah, and it's possible that we're seeing Chubbs save that coin, so maybe, on 9 mana, he can play Dragon Queen and coin out a 1 mana dragon, or even on turn 10, be able to play both of his 1 mana dragons, but that is sort of a long ways away, and by the time you get to 10 mana, I think more often than not, the quest lock has already completed their quest. So that's going to be an uphill battle if that's the line he's taking. Chubbs has kind of had an awkward hand for most of this game, just all of his top end, and not much in the way of early game pressure.
And Electabuzz is sitting on 16 right now. 16 draws. Well, we'll go up to 17 here.
Wow.
So Electabuzz is quite close to completing the quest. However, we are moving into that late phase of the game where the Highlander Hunter, as you mentioned, does have a lot of power cards, and there's not a whole lot of removal on the side of Electabuzz. So he's going to have to try to find a few things here, or Chubbs could very well overrun him in the next couple turns, as we can see Tiamat come down this turn, or a Zixor, if he would rather do that with the use of the coin. And now that draw of Scavenger's Ingenuity is very unfortunate, as there is likely nothing else in the deck that it will draw at this point.
Stalker, probably. I think it would draw Phase Stalker.
Oh, that's right.
Based on the secrets, but that would be that would probably be it.
I forgot about the secret package, I will be honest. Since I do not run Phase Stalker typically in my Highlander Hunter, that was not a consideration.
Yeah. But yeah, and Chubbs there going for the Tiamat instead of the Coin Zixor. Coin Zixor would have been more stats. I think this is showing that he's really committed to going for saving the coin and trying to get a big swing turn with Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, which, if we don't see a top deck Caladan or a Twisting Nether, that's going to be very hard for Electabuzz to deal with 2 or 3 big dragons.
And we see a Rain of Fire, we saw a Rain of Fire get used last turn, but we see Dark Skies get used this turn to take that Tiamat out of play, and that is one of those bigger clears. However, at this stage, it's not really going to clear much, of a full board, since most things that at this point Chubbs will be able to play will have enough health to withstand a single Dark Skies. But this is now a problem, because Dragonbane comes down, we see 7 damage go to face, and Electabuzz needs to find additional ways to keep this game going.
Electabuzz at this point is running into hand size issues. I believe he's played both Moargs already, so Sense Demons doesn't actually draw anything.
He has played
that,
one
and he has a lot of other... Yeah, so he's played a lot of other high-cost cards, or he has a lot of high-cost cards in hand, so it's really awkward for him, but he really needs to get those 0-mana taps in.
And Zixor will clear the Cartoon. It will heal 6, but now there's a threat on the board of 12 impending damage plus the hero power. We're going to see Coin right
Explosive Trap.
See, I was going to say...
That was not what I expected.
No, at that point I was figuring we were going to see Dragon Queen plus 2 dragons next turn, which seemed to be the only way to really get the classic effect of Dragon Queen Alexstrasza.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the merit behind that was, but I mean, the Zixor alone is a lot of stats on the board, gonna force Electabuzz into going for double Netherwing and put himself down to 13 health, and again, that's another turn where Electabuzz doesn't get to hero power.
Stormhammer is a pickup that's going to be consistent damage here. Varanus plus Unleash the Hounds is a combo to clear off these 2 dragons, and have to wonder. There are definitely multiple routes here to take.
Yeah. Looks like he is going to go for the Varanus Unleash. This is a lot of tempo this turn, but with this he does lose one of his answers to a potential Malygos or Alexstrasza or Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. But getting the 7/6 on the board is pretty huge.
Plot Twist pickup for Electabuzz. Probably going to see Cartoot and then Plot Twist here for Plot Twist. I would imagine the ordering goes Cartoot, Plot Twist, and then the tap after that.
Hero power, yeah. I like that too. This is a pretty big pickup because he's going to be able to shuffle those Broodmothers back into his deck and pick up some much needed healing here, and give the chance for Malygos or Alexstrasza to be discounted to 0 mana with a future hero power.
Yeah, this is, I think, the strongest play at the moment, but it's going to depend on what he draws. There's Zephyr, still not active.
Alex is not great.
Sense Demons,
Sense
however.
Demons again.
And free Malygos for the second game in a row.
Wow. That's
I mean, I know
insane.
that's what the deck's trying to do, but it's still not a guarantee. But Electabuzz seems to have the mojo.
He hasn't even tapped that much.
Oh, and
yeah.
One cost Malygos.
What? Oh my god. Both players getting the Mallies, but going to be a little bit less useful for Chubbs.
Oh no, it's pretty useful with that fireball. That's a lot of damage. That's 13 damage on a fireball next turn. 13 plus the hero power is 15. Wow. That's just, like, right now, Electabuzz can't know that is lethal if he doesn't heal or kill Chubbs.
Were there two better dragons pick up? Because any, like, just big minion that he plays is gonna die to Twisting Nether.
What? He took Polymorph.
Oh. Chubbs, I think, is trying to play too defensively here. I think he's scared of a Malygos sticking or maybe a Dragon Queen sticking, but passing up on all of that damage seems like a mistake to me.
Yeah, I don't see a situation where I would not have taken the fireball there, because the Twisting Nether is going to come down right now, and that's the end of your board, unfortunately. I mean, knowing that the Warlock is it's a deck where there's lots of removal, as you mentioned, Caladan is an option, Twisting Nether, as we just saw, that is really not the decision that I would have imagined, because even if you see, like, Alexstrasza come down,
that would have been game this turn, right?
Yeah.
With Stormhammer hero power.
Yes, with Stormhammer as well.
It would have been Zach, but Chubbs is still in a pretty solid spot here. He gets to play the Stormhammer anyways, and now there is no ooze that can deal with it and get the hero power in, so he's still looking to be in a solid spot. But man, this game is close.
It has to feel... I mean, maybe he didn't realize with the Malygos discount in hand that all of that was possible in a single turn, as, you know, your brain is conditioned to think Malygos equals 9, that equals most of my turn, and that's not something I really want to do. However, yeah, I think that's... man, that's a tough call to make here. And now we're going to see Electabuzz Sense Demons, and he's going to draw at least one Broodmother.
Heal for 8 here.
He will heal for 8. And the game has gotten a little
Does
out of
get the Broodmothers, and now Zephyrus is active.
Oh, is he gonna go for it? Oh yeah.
Your wish is my suggestion.
Zephyr swipe to clear.
Swipe. Okay. Swipe space. Soulfire isn't quite lethal, but he might go for it anyways.
Plus the 3 from the ooze, though.
Oh no, or it is lethal.
Yeah, it is lethal.
Okay,
yeah, the math was there. The math was there. Great job by Electabuzz.
What? Oh, what a finish for this game. That's crazy. I'm still having trouble believing this game worked out the way it did after the Dragon Queen from Chubbs. And then the exact lethal. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's one of those that if he goes back and I mean, it's hard. Obviously, in the moment, you're trying to make decisions on a clock, and we have the benefit of seeing the opposing player's hand. So it's always hard to completely fault someone for missing a lethal in that situation, especially when it's something that is not a common situation to have occurred. But, you know, it is unfortunate that he had the game in his hand there, and Electabuzz made the most of the mistake and punished him to get the second win with Quest Warlock.
Very true. And yeah, and you know, he could have been thinking, my opponent can heal out of range easily. I'd rather play for the board and maybe try to take away their win condition, maybe hoping the Electabuzz would go all in with trying to stick a Malygos, but didn't quite work out for him here, and now Chubbs is down to his last deck. The Highlander Mage against Questlock. I would definitely favor the quest lock here, but it's close. The mage has a chance.
I think it's favored even more at the moment with looking at the texture of Chubbs' hand. Opening with Power of Creation, Tortollan, and Reno means he really doesn't have anything to do here in the first few turns. And Twilight Drake does at least give him something on 4, but we're going to see Electabuzz kind of have the run of his choice as how he plays this opening portion of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Electabuzz is drawing everything that he needs to against a Highlander mage opponent. He's not getting any of his removal, like Dark Skies, really, just Plot Twist, Sense Demons, Questing Explorer. These are all the cards that you want to try to progress your game plan of getting to that quest completion, and it looks like he's going to be able to do that fairly quickly with the composition of his hand.
I wonder if...
And here comes the Sense Demons play, and this is a play that you discussed in the previous game being, you know, a greedier play to try and get more cards in your hand for that plot twist. But I think here in this situation, with nothing on board, facing a very slow deck, I think that's a good call here.
Yeah, definitely, and that's kind of a contrast, right? Electabuzz chose to do something opposite against the Highlander Hunter, where he has to play a little bit more aggressively for the board, but he's seen his opponent do literally nothing for 3 turns. It's also more mana efficient for him to Sense Demons then, and then he can go for Questing Explorer plus Plot Twist this turn.
Yeah, for maximum quest advancement, which is what we're going to see here. A full 10 card, well, it gives you a benefit of 9, of course, minus the Plot Twist. So that's going to put Electabuzz up to 16 already on turn 4. 16 card draws. And the coin, unfortunately, one of those cards that gets tossed back in the deck. But, hey, you know, we can't have everything we want, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely still fine, I think. Yeah, even though the coin is not going to be ideal to top deck later, getting that 1 extra tick on the quest is definitely worth it. That can mean getting access to the hero power 1 turn earlier. And meanwhile, Chubbs, he just has drawn his entire top end. Aside from maybe Siamat, these are exactly the most expensive cards that he has in his deck.
Yeah, Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, which I imagine is still in the build of this deck as well.
Right.
Yeah, and Dragoncaster, nothing to really... well, we do have a Dragon. I'm sorry, Calicos on 7 plus Power of Creation is probably where he's looking to go at this point. However, you know, there's a lot of answers on Electabuzz's hand. He picked up Twisting Nether. He's got another Cartoon over there. He did pick up Malagos, and you would obviously want that back in your deck so that way you can tap into it, as he's done successfully in the first 2 games.
Yeah, kind of a weird hand for Electabuzz. He could actually go for Dark Skies to fully clear off the board, but then can't really do anything else. So he might choose to just craze Netherwing, which being the higher mana card is probably going to be more difficult to get out of his hand in the future. So I like just going for the Netherwing here. Even though it does clear off your own board, I think the most important thing for Electabuzz right now is hand size management.
A Frost Nova pick up there for Chubbs. Not too helpful at this exact moment. Looks like as good a time as any for Reno is to just go ahead and play him down and get as much tempo as you can.
Yeah, get another minion on the board, push for damage, and I mean, next turn, Chubbs can go for Dragoncaster into Power of Creation and try to push, but Electabuzz here, Skies is going to be a full clear, and he is just 2 draws away from completing his quest now.
The good news, though, for Chubbs is that by getting Dragoncaster down this turn, he's 1 turn ahead of the possibility of Twisting Nether, which will make it more of a pain for Electabuzz to remove. Can't just go ahead and cleanly drop 1 card, clear the whole board. So I do like the prospects that if Chubbs can get something good off of Power of Creation and Electabuzz can't remove it immediately, that could be pretty painful for him.
Yeah. I was looking at Electabuzz maybe going Rain of Fire into tap to get that immediate quest completion next turn. He chooses to hold on to the Rain of Fire. And then, like you said, we are going to see this Dragoncaster into Power of Creation. And maybe Skystalker here. Yeah, and Chubbs agrees. This is just a lot of tempo, and these Death Rattle minions are hard for the quest lock to deal with.
Absolutely, I think that's the right choice. And speaking of hard
Huge
to
pickup
kill with
of
minions,
coin.
Cartoon is probably coming. Nope, it's not. Never mind. Huge pickup of coin. I'm sorry. I talked over your fantastic sarcastic joke, and I am a jerk for that, so I do
It's okay.
apologize.
That's okay. It actually, I think, is going to come into play this turn. Electabuzz can go Cartoon, Coin, Nether Breath. So it actually ended up being a pretty good pickup.
All right. I'd like to go back to that just for a second, because I know you've probably been sitting on that from the moment the coin got shuffled in the deck, and I completely blew up your spot, so I really am sorry about that.
You're good. You're good, yeah. Chubbs now doesn't want to go for a Tortolan in the box. Instead, gonna hope for some good pickup of Arcane Breath. And I guess Spellbender is the pick here. None of these seem super appealing at the moment.
Yeah, I think Spellbender was fine. Pretty low impact, but you could steal a Nether Breath away from a minion. However, he opts to go with the Mirror Image. I don't know how much of a use that will be here, as there's really not anything bursty in Electabuzz's deck that isn't going to just go right over them and directly to his face.
I mean, it sort of plays around Dark Skies, but not that much considering the Skystalkers have a Death Rattle anyways. That's the only thing that I can think of. You have, of course, already seen one Dark Skies, but it kind of helps there. Nether could come down here, but I mean, leaving your opponent with 2 3/4s on the board and then just leaving yourself vulnerable, like that's your best hard removal. Like that's your best board clear, and you can kind of expect to see the Highlander Mage develop more later in the game.
And there's the pickup of Zephyrus. Still one turn away from Calicos or Reno, as the case may have it. So Zephyrus will come down now.
Wow. Zeph, I'm not sure about the Zeph here. Gorehell is 7 damage to the face, but I don't really think that's what you want here. I guess Chubbs disagrees.
Calicos
He's
plus,
just going to go ahead and push.
plus Pyroblast is a possibility, I suppose. Or if he's just hard running Pyroblast and we don't know, that is also a possibility. But that's still a pretty low percentage chance overall. So I guess you're looking at 9 damage on board. So as far as you're concerned, you're representing lethal right now. Electabuzz has options in hand to go ahead and get himself back out of range. However, not a guarantee that he survives nonetheless. So we're going to start with a tap, not use that Alexstrasza. Picks up a giant Abyssal Summoner. So at least that will take away the immediate threat of just getting faced by the minions.
Definitely a decent Abyssal. Moarg Modal Coil will at least draw him a card. Oh my god.
Oh, the Nether Breath off the top.
That was one of the, and that's the second Nether Breath, I think. That's I think the perfect card for Electabuzz here.
16 heal. That is just back-breaking.
All the way back up to 25. Chubbs isn't out of it yet, though. He could Reno here. He could also maybe go for a Deep Freeze. He has several cards in hand that give a lot of value. And of course, as the Highlander Mage goes into the late game, random spells from Reno and from a potential puzzle box have a huge potential to swing the game. So you really just can't tell what will happen.
I think it had to be Reno there because you probably want to see if you can stick your elementals after the fact. But a clean Alexstrasza coming. Oh, Healing Touch. Where's it going? Not the spot that he wanted it to. Oh my gosh.
Oh no. That's Reno for you.
And he gets the Pyroblast. It happened. It actually happened too.
If Electabuzz didn't get that Nether Breath pickup, we could have been looking at a game here.
I mean, that was not the line I would have taken, but it was the line would have worked if it wasn't for the massive heal. Man, that is something else. And well, that's not going to heal anything, but it is a Broodmother nonetheless for free. Boy, Electabuzz does have 1 plot twist left to go ahead and pop that Malygos back in deck, but right now still 8 cards left, and it has not shown up. There's a good chance that if he gets the plot twist at this point, Malygos will just get redrawn right back to hand.
Yeah, and Electabuzz is sort of running out of removal here now. His hand size is getting pretty small, and both Moargs are down. So Dark Skies is not going to be that impactful. He's used Twisting Nether, so it's really just Malygos, Rain of Fire, and then a possible Caladan top deck that lets him deal with the board. And Chubbs, with that Alexstrasza draw,
Yeah,
he
it's real
still has a
interesting.
lot of power in hand.
I mean, he can Blizzard here and clear the 4/6 with his Calicos, probably allowing that Calicos to live outside of the Caladan top deck, as you mentioned. And if he pushes the Alexstrasza this turn, could still win the game with the
I
Pyroblast.
don't hate the
turn.
Alexstrasza here.
No, not at all.
Yeah, this sets up lethal. You also have the Frost Nova in hand. Chubbs could easily win the game next turn because what healing does
Zephyrus.
Electabuzz have left?
Well, he has Zephyrus.
That's big, but I mean, is this going to be enough? If he just Zephyrus into Twisting Nether, he still loses.
This is a real tough spot. I mean, you could have cartooned it first, I suppose. Cartoon, then Zephyrus, and then maybe Shadow or Death the 8/8.
Oh, Shadow Flame.
Shadow Flame does clear
I still
everything.
don't know if it changes anything. Shadow Flame Shadow Flame is definitely better than Nether here, but can he, after he plays the Shadow Flame, can he get any healing in his deck? Does he still have
There is
Broodmother?
one Broodmother. There is still a Broodmother. It's not a Broodmother. In fact, it's something that hurts him.
Wow.
That's the game. I was going to say, that's the game pending Reno telling us it's not the game. However,
Pending Reno.
It's all Reno did was draw a bunch of cards via Hand of Gul'dan, so that's okay, as that will keep this series alive with that Pyroblast in the face, and Quest Warlock finally goes down for Electabuzz as Chubbs keeps us going here. We'll move on to Game 4.
Wow, winning an unfavored, two favored matchups against the Quest Warlock, loses both of them, but brings it back with the Mage, even after that horrible start. I mean, he had nothing to play until turn 4, and then I think he hero powered his turn 5 too, right? So, well played from Chubbs, coming back from a really slow start, but ended up getting some of those late game bombs at the end, and I think the draws were just kind of not in the right order for Electabuzz, and he's able to get on the board here and stay alive.
And now the question becomes, the first time that Electabuzz has had to make a decision here on picking a new deck, what will it be? It's either the Demon Hunter or the Hunter versus this Highlander Mage.
Yeah.
And Demon Hunter can get in under the Highlander Mage, especially if they start slow like that. However, maybe the Hunter is the better pick, especially if it's a Highlander, which is not only been the strongest deck post-patch, according to all the stats on HS Replay, but in general is just a pretty decent deck overall against Highlander Mage.
Yeah, I would say the Highlander Hunter is probably going to be slightly more favored. So if he's going to try to, deny Chubbs that one point, I would probably queue up the Hunter, assuming it is Highlander. I believe that's like at least a 60% matchup, maybe
Correct.
65. Fairly solid.
62, yeah. But who's counting? Who's counting?
Yeah, and I think in this meta, a lot of the matchups that exist among the top decks are pretty close to 50-50, around 45-55. So I would think that Electabuzz would want to go with the extra eggs from the Hunter, but he's going to go for his Demon Hunter instead. It does look like it is an aggro Demon Hunter as expected here with the Battle Fiends.
That's right. Yeah, the double Battle Fiend might not be the wrong keep, honestly. If we can go Battle Fiend into Hero Power Battle Fiend turn 2, and now we even see a Beaming Sidekick. That might be a good start for Electabuzz, but Doomsayer is available. So the question now becomes, does he know enough to coin this out and Doomsayer on turn 1? Because if he waits till turn 2, it's just going to be too late.
And that's a very, very easy wait until turn 2 for Chubbs, and he's gonna get rewarded here. I think barring a top deck, I'm not sure. Well, yeah, so I guess there are draws. Chaos Strike or Twin Slice could let Electabuzz clear the Doomsayer here, but if not, this is huge for Chubbs.
Yeah, Chubbs definitely on the fortunate side here, because if that second Battle Fiend had been played, it would have been enough to kill it here.
High Beam.
Well, that's a card.
Enough. High Beam Hero Power. He can even throw the other Battle Fiend in here. I-Beam a card that we have seen cut from a lot of Tempo Demon Hunter lists. Even before the patch, most people are running Amani Berserker, Bone Chewer Brawler instead, but I-Beam coming in super clutch here for Electabuzz. Wow.
I think Electabuzz just kind of trying to, parse it out and make sure that he's not missing something here, which I think is perfectly reasonable.
Definitely. The ordering is important. Yeah, has to make sure he hero powers for almost saw that pointing face here, but yeah, I think he is gonna choose to hit into the Doomsayer. Oh, I guess it wouldn't have mattered anyways. He had one overkill.
Yeah, he had the either way, it didn't really matter. But you always want to make sure you're making the right plays, because you never know what misplay could possibly cost you the game. But Arcane Breath is a draw for Chubbs, which is something that can remove one of those Battle Fiends right now if he wants to coin after using that Ice Barrier. Imprisoned Observer, another card that you would love to get online. However, you just don't want to make it so it's too little too late against an aggressive deck like Demon Hunter.
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see the Observer instead, just because, after you get past like turn 3 or 4, it's probably just going to be too slow against the Demon Hunter to do anything. And you can generally play the Ice Barrier later in the game. But I guess here, Chubbs wants to lock in that 8 healing from the Ice Barrier and is maybe looking to point into the Rusty Raider next turn to pick out one of these minions.
I think he was kind of bluffing it a little bit, to be honest with you. I think that was more
into
of a
the Flame Ward.
that it was a Flame Ward. Because he played it pretty quickly, and Electabuzz does play around it well. So there's the knowledge, obviously, any future secrets that are going to be main decked will likely be a Flame Ward. However, this is now a very, very tough spot, and if we coin here for Chubbs, he won't have coin Reno the turn after.
Yeah, this is tough, and again, this is kind of like, Imprisoned Observer, if it had gotten down on turn 3, would have been very strong against this board, but I understand going for the bluff too, and Rusteed here, I would probably hit this into the 4-2 Satyr because you don't have an AoE clear for multiple 2-2s, but he's going to choose to go into the Battle Fiend instead. That is, of course, the biggest minion overall and has the potential to get even more attack each turn.
It does remove the most toughness off the board in one strike, which for Reno will help out. And, of course, Arcane Breath now can kill anything on board, which is nice. However, Beaming Sidekick is going to go ahead and blow up that plan too.
Yeah.
So this is a perfect kind of play there for Electabuzz to just keep allowing him to push the damage, allowing his minions to continue to live, and keep making awkward turns for Chubbs. And we do see the Warglaves making an appearance here in Electabuzz's deck. And we talked about that at the beginning of the cast. Not sure whether or not that would be a card that was run in the main deck for a Demon Hunter.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, it's gonna work out here because Electabuzz did at least have a decent turn 5 play. He's just gonna be able to play the Warglaves next turn, but no dragon in hand for Chubbs means Arcane Breath here probably does have to come down to kill this 4-2. But after that, he's facing down a ton of damage. I wonder if he goes Arcane Intellect for Ray of Frost here.
Well, he does Arcane Intellect, and the Arcane Breath is still playable. Yeah, it's got to come down on that 4-2.
Yeah. And Twin Slice is a big pickup here. I don't think... I believe
it's 1 off.
2 off?
No,
could be 1 off. I think
no, Altruist. Altruist plus double Twin Slice is lethal. It's exact lethal.
Isn't it only 16?
Nope, it's 18. Because you're gonna, instead of using your hero power, you're gonna use the Twin Slice, deal 2 damage rather than getting 1 out of your hero power. Yeah. I lied. It's 2 off. I did the math backwards.
Okay.
Remember, I was so sure. I was so very sure that was lethal. And I was so very wrong. I apologize. Go ahead and feel free to blow me up in chat for that one. But I was doing the math, and for some reason I added a 2 when I should have subtracted a 2. So yeah, math is hard. But I
all
mean, like,
good.
let's be honest
Still
here.
an
It's
overwhelming
effectively,
spot.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tough spot
There's
here.
at this point, I don't think there was any card. Even Zephyrus off the top wouldn't have done it here.
No, with the weapon in hand.
But there's just no way with Warglaves in hand. It's over. And Chubbs just kind of thinking if there's any possible way. He doesn't know that Electabuzz has Warglaves in hand, so I think he has to go. Yeah, has to go for the Nova here. And technically, as far as he knows, he's alive. He can Dragon Caster Puzzle Box next turn with a Dragon top deck, but gonna get the bad news here. Yeah.
I was to say the
I guess
killing a minion off the board too allowed whatever Altruist, whatever card, you know, if Electabuzz was only holding minions, then Altruist would not have been able to trigger. But yeah, in that case, it does just give us a different kind of lethal instead. So yeah, that will be game 4. Electabuzz does stumble a little bit in that game 3 to drop a 1, but overall keeping the series alive for NoProsHere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and now we are gonna get to see basedinc versus Pasca. We knew ahead of time, no matter what, this was going to be a good match. But I think it's even better now that we know it does, in fact, have playoff implications here. Both players are fighting for something here. Based, if she wins here, will send her team to the finals, and Pasca just fighting to keep his team alive here. But yeah, and hey, exactly 10:02, finishing pretty close to time here.
Yeah,
which is
very
always nice.
gentlemanly of our players to allow the second match to start on time.
And yeah, Donde, do you want to let the players know that we can get into it in a little bit, and then we can take a look at the classes here?
Sure, if you want to do that. I'm also setting up the stream too, but I'll shoot them a message real quick here while you take a look.
Yeah, so going into this match, we've got basedinc on Druid, Priest, Warlock, and Warrior. Pasca on Demon Hunter, Mage, and Warrior. So Warrior actually the only class in common that both of these players have. Something we talked about earlier, Donde. Actually, I think this was before the stream. We talked about the performance of Druid recently. I think it's down to tier 4 on HS Replay, and just from my personal experience on ladder, along with the stats, it looks like the fungal nerf has hit it pretty hard. Even though it was very popular at Masters Tour, the players at Masters Tour only had 2 days to test. That's not a ton of time. basedinc chose to go with a Druid, but I mean, if this is the standard, Dragon Druid, Spell Druid here, she could be in for a rough spot. That could be the weak link in this lineup. But of course, this is LHS. She doesn't have to win with all of her decks to win the overall series. So it's possible we end up not seeing the Druid at all.
Yes, that is very, very possible, and I think it'll be interesting. I think in the hands of a very skilled player, the Druid is still a potent enough deck that it can get a win. However, like you said, and like we talked about prior to the cast here, it has fallen off quite a bit in just these few days here since the patch.
Yep, definitely. And then based also going for the Priest and the Warlock. I think we saw the strength of Quest Warlock even against some unfavorable matchups in the last series. So, if that trend continues, basedinc could pick up a couple key wins off of her Warlock. And then Pasca, I think Pasca going for a lineup that was probably one of the more popular lineups that we saw before the nerfs, just going with a straight Demon Hunter, Mage, and Warrior. I think we saw a lot just going for, an Egg or an Enrage or Bomb Warrior, Highlander Hunter, Highlander Mage, and then Tempo Demon Hunter. So it's possible Pasca stuck to that. Maybe didn't have much time to try out new decks and just wanted to stick with archetypes and classes that he knew. But there's definitely room for a lot of innovation in these classes, especially if Pasca chose to go with the Control Demon Hunter instead. But to be honest, looking at base classes, I think the Tempo Demon Hunter is much more likely.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. And so Pasta, if we do assume that he did bring the Tempo Demon Hunter. He could have chosen to ban. He could have gone for a Warrior ban. None of his classes line up super well into the Warrior. Warrior was, of course, by far the most popular ban before the nerfs. I'm not sure exactly how much that trend has changed, but wouldn't be too surprised to see that. And then for based, she's running some slower decks, right? The Druid, the Priest, and the Warlock, historically pretty weak to aggro. So I think we are probably going to see just a ban of the Demon Hunter or the Hunter here from her.
Yeah, we're still. I'm still trying to get in touch with both players here. To be honest, haven't got a response yet from either of them.
Could be a bit. Often with these stream matches, players don't expect to start exactly at the time. I think I am friends with Pasca, but I don't believe he is on. Oh, he was online 4 minutes ago though, so probably just popped offline for a bit, maybe to check on something. So he should be online in just a minute or two. We're hoping.
Yeah, I realized just now that I was not friends with Pasca, which, imagine not being friends with Pasca. I don't even know how that happened. He's friends with everybody. I can only imagine that that this is all my fault and not his.
Yeah, and let's see, Donde, do you know if we have any? So I think as we mentioned before in Hero Series, those two matches between Tanpams and Cult were starting at
Correct.
10 p.m. So starting now, so results from those won't be in.
I did contact Ted. Yeah, I contacted the Big Ted just in case there was any way that we could be apprised of games as they're in progress there. He said we might not hear any updates till the series ends, but he will let us know, and we will announce anything on stream that comes up, of course, when we do know it. So if for whatever reason we hear anything ahead of time, then we will let everyone know. But yeah, we'll just have to all be kind of in the dark and only have to focus on one fantastic match at a time rather than three. I know it's tough, but we'll all get through it together, I promise.
Yeah.
But
definitely tough.
I will say, just as a point of note, we talked about Spies still in the lead here in this series that we're going to be watching, but NoProsHere has now drawn it to 9-6 instead. It was 8-2 when we started the evening. They are a heck of a lot closer now than they were before.
Wow. Yeah, very, very nice work from Electabuzz in that last game to not tie it up quite, but get it a lot closer to having a chance to send this team to the finals. And now both of these players are preparing to battle each other, so it looks like we will have bans in very shortly.
Fantastic, and Pasca has accepted my friend request. I feel complete, which is great.
Love to see it.
Love to see it. We were talking earlier today about the friends list restrictions that you and I both have to go through. Anybody in content here in THL knows that unfortunately it's just like a constant struggle to make sure that we have space on our list for everybody that we cast.
Yeah, it's tough, and I mean, Donde, you've been in THL for a while. It's been a little bit over 5 years for me, so not even from content, just from playing, hundreds of different players over the years. That it fills up pretty quick, so you end up, having to go in and delete people. But yeah, it's tough. Definitely would be nice if they increased the friends list capacity. I'm not sure why it's arbitrarily capped at 200, but I mean, you see this all the time with, I think most players who even, just dip their toes into qualifiers, you run out of space pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it took a while for us to get our deck slots expanded. So hopefully, maybe this is something that we can consider on the horizon. Maybe it's in the roadmap, the cryptic roadmap that they released for this entire year.
Yes.
Maybe one of those icons means you have more friends now, which would be phenomenal. But we do have bans in. I'm sorry.
Excellent.
I didn't mean to interrupt the whimsy.
I was going to go off on a tangent.
No, go right ahead while I input them.
Oh yeah, so I was gonna say I was thinking about the deck slots thing. It's possible they chose to wait to input deck slots so long because they were thinking about adding Demon Hunter as a class, and they thought, well, maybe we'll just add one more deck slot if we're going to have 10 decks. And that's why they waited. And then, they chose to actually go to 18. But I think the considerations of just adding a 10th class and how that impacts the UI of the Hearthstone client was pretty significant. And it's possible that could have been something that they were having to juggle when thinking about how to eventually add 9 more deck slots, which of course, all that happened was it was just an arrow. But a lot of work goes into that. A lot of thought does, and they have to think about what expansions are planned, what new modes are on the horizon for the game, and how is everything going to fit in, because it's kind of a bad look if you try to like alter one thing and then future things that come out like in the next year means that now that feature is like no longer compatible.
Absolutely. I think that's a very logical take on it, and not nearly as emotional as I would like it to be. I just want the rage, I want the anger, but no, I think you're correct in that assessment. And the assessment from Base and Pasca in regards to the bans, Base will not be allowed to play her warrior in this match, and Pasca had his hunter banned.
Not surprised to see either of those bans. Also, nice checking in. Chat caught up to your math.
I knew that was going to happen. I knew they were going to say something, and I'm just going to go ahead and sit here and accept it.
It's okay. Donde, I look forward you to correctly calculating lethal on one of these upcoming games.
Oh,
I know you can do
I
it.
busted out the calculator already. Like, I have an actual calculator sitting next to me. No, I do not. I'm just kidding.
Okay, but yeah, basedinc getting her warrior banned, Pasca getting her hunter banned. Just looking at that, basedinc going for sort of slower, more control-y decks. At least that's what I would assume based on the classes. Means she's going to want to ban the aggressive hunter list, and then Pasca just banning that warrior out that does well against decks like Demon Hunter and more aggressive lists. And I think Pasca is going to look to try to take down some of these slower decks that Based has.
Yeah, as you mentioned, as we talked about, Hunter right now is the creme de la creme of the meta in just this post-patch few days here. So just saying I don't want to deal with that has the opportunity to sweep me. It makes sense from base side, and Warrior has been perpetually a very strong deck. And they are jumping into games, so we are going to go ahead and get ready to take a look and see what they chose here in Game 1.
And we can see now Based is going to go with the Druid to lead off, and Pasca with the Mage. Looks like a pretty standard Dragon Spell Druid from Based with the Breath of Dreams and the 3-mana Fungal Fortunes. And
Very
then Pasca starting off just with the Highlander Mage and keeping just the Twilight Drake, kind of a slower hand, kind of similar to this hand that we saw with Chubbs. In his game 3, both Renos, Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, and now Siamat and Twilight Drake, not really what he wants to see against the Druid.
And Base went all in with the getting rid of Fungal Fortunes to try and get an activator for Breath of Dreams, but no dice, still no Dragon hands. Now the question becomes, do we go ahead and Breath of Dreams, hoping we pull a Dragon, if you don't know of the interaction? A Dragon into hand will still give you the benefit of Breath of Dreams, but in this case, that is not the decision Base will make. She'll just go ahead and hit face. And I have to say, I truly appreciate the use of Elise, as that is an S-tier hero portrait. In my opinion, the best one in the game. And the
very nice.
Pays off.
Yeah. I was gonna say I was surprised to see Base throw back the fungal, but I mean, getting the breath procced on turn 3 instead of turn 2 is not that bad. Definitely pays off. She's going to be able to maybe go Glowfly into Emerald Explorer now.
Well, I guess actually we say the patience paid off. However, assuming all things stay the same in the deck before the card is drawn, if Emerald Explorer was the next card draw, that would have been triggered had it been used last turn. So hard to say. Obviously,
that's a good point.
You never want to just go ahead and throw away the possibility of that ramp. But Glowfly Swarm does come down on 5, so Base is still in pretty decent shape here, and we have to see if Pasca has an answer for it. There's not a lot going on here.
This is sort of awkward. Pasca could coin and then play Zephrys and would be able to clear the board with a Lightning Storm, but that would leave him with a pretty bad next turn, and of course he uses up his Zephrys. I wonder if he maybe wants to just Twilight Drake here, and then
Your wish is my suggestion.
try to Reno next turn, but he's going to go with the Zeph before coining.
Yeah, interesting, because now Cleave is an option to take off 2 of these minions, and he does have coin now for Reno going into the following turn. However, that's a really bad spot if Base manages to pick up, or to his knowledge has, Soul of the Forest.
Going for the backstab Doomsayer, I was sort of thinking maybe go for Cleave, clear off 2 2/2s, and then maybe coin Reno next turn gets the job done. But going for this Doomsayer, this is very interesting. Pasca not really going to get punished too hard here because Base doesn't have Power of the Wild. But she now can just develop the Emerald Drake and trade everything into the Doomsayer.
Now, the Doomsayer becomes essentially a soft taunt here. It has to be killed, or your board is gone. So it does absorb effectively 8 damage here from, if every minion hits it. Or if he opts to use Moonfire, it will be an option too. But I don't think Base wants to use Moonfire because she'd rather keep that around if she can for a Mount Seller, which has not yet appeared in hand.
Yeah, definitely. I like erring on the side of keeping those cheap spells in hand. A lot of the ways I think you win this matchup is by going off on Mount Seller. Over on Pasca's side, going for the coin Reno, this won't clear off the board entirely, but at least it does take care of all of those Glowflies.
Yeah, that was best case scenario there, clearing off 4 out of 5 minions. And we're going to see, a Mount Seller is discarded by the Fungal. Consolation prize of the Overgrowth.
Overgrowth not bad, but now based only with a Nexia as a real threat in hand. If the 1/1s end up sticking after she plays it, she's in a great spot with the double Savage Roar.
Oh, it's just game if it sticks, yeah.
And Base now... I like going for the Nexia Crystal Power here. Instead, there isn't much Pasca can do. He can at least set up the Tiamat. I think... Let's see. Does he go Tiamat Divine Shield Rush to just kill the 8/8?
I mean, that seems like the best option, but it's not a winning option, as we know.
This is just so weird because you feel like you have to deal with the 8/8, but leaving all the 1/1s on board feels so bad. But I don't know if Pasca chooses to just clear all the 1/1s off. I don't even know if this is better.
Give me a shot. Give me a shot at the math. Give me a shot at the math. So we clear off, 3 1/1s here. We've got 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. It's still lethal with double Savage Roar.
Yeah.
Yes, I am redeemed.
Yes, excellent. Full redemption. This is easily lethal for Based. And yeah, she's going to take game 1.
The story of the game. Based wins Donde Mass. This is great. What a recovery from not only Spies That Flies, but me.
Yeah, I mean, even more importantly than Spies That Flies, you could argue, is your recovery. Quick check-in from Quaz. He is only playing after Sanguine's match, so he is actually not starting at 10 p.m. So that's the other semifinal, Tam Tams versus the Cult. So we'll just keep that in mind.
Class is in session.
Based, of course, staying on the Druid, and Pasca is going to switch to the Demon Hunter in an attempt to counter it. Looks to have a pretty solid opener here with Battle Mage into Bone Shearer, and Based has drawn all of her minions. She won't be discarding Mount Seller from Fungal Fortunes this game at least, but you'd like to see a couple more spells in the Spell Druid, as her hand is currently 3/4 minions.
Yeah, I guess, like you said, that is a safer route for the Fungal Fortunes, but if you don't get there, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, Pasca here. Probably just going to go with the Bone Chewer. I think I kind of like saving the coin for potentially Skull down the line, or for Satyr Coin Hero Power, but I guess Pasca disagrees. Is going to go for maximum aggressiveness, getting the Battle Fiend down here.
Yeah, he smells the blood. He has no reason to know
Yeah.
that there's just nothing going on in base hand, but Bog Beam, being a pickup off the top, does at least allow Pasca, or I'm sorry, to allow base to clear a minion here, but then it gets replaced by its brother.
Yeah. Yeah, this is very solid. And I mean, base here, she can coin Glowfly for 1/2/2. That's assuming that she top decks a spell.
She does. This is, I gotta say, the speed
Oh.
at which these turns are going, especially for base, is just breakneck, is how I would describe it.
This is pretty crazy. Based at least will be able to innervate out the Emerald Explorer next turn. But yeah, Pasca, it's just full steam ahead for him right now, getting the Satyr down, taking advantage of the fact that Based has just done nothing these past 2 turns, and building up a huge board.
We're with you.
I also, while we're watching the unfortunate beatdown happen here, as Based just stands by praying for any sort of respite, Quaz, who is playing in that match that you mentioned at 11, he's going to be streaming that on his Twitch channel at 11 Eastern, so definitely feel free to tune into that afterwards and watch the the continuation of the semifinals. Quaz, I know you're out there. Go ahead, feel free to link your channel in Twitch chat.
Yep, and yeah, we'll try to remember to host you when we're done streaming this.
Oh yeah,
also.
absolutely.
Yeah, Pasca going for just hero power and probably sidekick rather than playing the 6/4 adept, but it makes a lot of sense getting one more attack on the Battle Fiend and getting an extra 2/2 from the Satyr. And next turn, he can maybe opt to go for the Glaive Bound, hero power, or just Skull.
Breath of Dreams off the top for Based is a draw and a ramp, but is it too late? Moonfire is not enough.
Yeah.
Hoping for an Iron Bark there, but this is what, 6, 8, 9 on board just now, so Pasca's going to have an easy lethal here, and this was a quick game too. 3 minutes and 8 seconds by my timer.
Wow, that's probably could be close to a record for stream games here. Yeah, I mean, this is what happens. We've talked about this before. I think whenever I casted with you last, which was a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the high variance of Druid, and this is just what happens when you draw all of your minions and none of your spells. Basedinc just essentially passed hero powered, didn't really do anything for many turns, and by that time it was way too late.
Yeah, that's a big factor as to why a lot of the pros just do not like the activity that Druid brings to the game. It's just either win or not, and sometimes it feels like it plays itself and you really don't have a choice, and that was one of those situations where Base just really didn't have a choice that whole game.
Yep, definitely. And now looking at the 2 remaining classes, I would say in general Quest Warlock and Priest are probably both going to be unfavored, but maybe only slightly against Pasca's Demon Hunter and Base. I think going for the slightly better matchup with the Quest Warlock, and she is going to keep the Dark Skies, of course, a very important card against Demon Hunter to stave off some of that early aggression.
Yes, a very fortunate card to have in your opening hand for sure in this matchup.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, it is actually this is actually a favored matchup versus the Demon Hunter for the Warlock.
Really?
Yep, 55%. Not overwhelming by any stretch of the imagination, but it is at least partially favored.
This is the history buff. I've experimented with this card a little bit myself. This could be a matchup where it shines, where you end up being able to actually have it stick for a turn against control deck like Quest Warlock here. Although it's likely that Pasca, I think, would just want to go for the Satyr next turn, but maybe he does go for history buff and tries to get a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, second history buff now.
Wow.
I will say I've seen history buff in exactly one matchup that I've played, and it came down in a match I was losing so terribly that I did not really get to see whether or not it was good. It was just, hey, here, this card is here. So I am interested to see if it makes a difference here in this matchup.
Yeah, I personally only have pretty limited experience in here. This is a pretty solid play, though, because, I mean, Pasca here does have just the skull, but other than that, all minions. And right now, Based might have to spend a Soulfire here to deal with this.
Yeah, Soulfire as an option. Plot Twist here as well, but if you Plot Twist before you Soulfire, you're really hoping for a Nether Breath and a Dragon in order to bail you out, which is that just too much to ask?
I think it might just be the Plot Twist instead, and you risk leaving the history buff up, but Quest Warlock really needs to push to complete the quest as fast as possible. Seeing a Sense Demons first into the Soulfire, okay.
Oh, and it discards the Plot Twist.
Wow.
That is probably the worst card to have discarded out of hand. I mean, you're okay with like losing Zephyrus, I think. You know, Coin, of course, is very, you know, not no impact, but lower impact. But boy, that is not great.
Even Keladin, I think you're fine to see that go. Yeah, I mean that's the risk you take, and Pasca's gonna get this 4/5 history buff down, which Based can Keladin to deal with, I guess.
Moarg. Oh, no, we're going to Keladan the 4/5 instead. Moarg plus Nether Breath now still in hand. And I guess Based is not looking as bad as could be, or even just as bad as she looked a turn or two ago. The situation has kind of changed.
Yeah, you know, I like this. I think that's probably the best a Keladan target is going to get. Just as a 4/5, Demon Hunter runs a lot of pretty small minions, so aside from Glaive Bound, that's a pretty solid play. Gets to save the Moarg for, you know, maybe a more impactful combo later in the game.
Pasca picks up enough damage to be able to go ahead and clear this Keladan with his own face and make a little bit of a board of his own after the Skull of Wulan turned up 3 free cards into his hand. Abyssal Summoner off top, not bad.
Yeah, I think it's fine to just play out the Abyssal here. Moarg Nether Breath just feels a little bit too slow, and I think you're going to want to err on the side of putting stuff on the board. And over on Pasca's side, he's just really drawing all his minions. We've seen so few spells from him this game. I guess he just has to go all in this turn.
Yeah, here comes the Twin Slice to start.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be able to go ahead and clear that 6/6 there, and still not as far ahead as you would like to be as the Demon Hunter in this matchup.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Yeah, and we can see though, basedinc doesn't have Netherwing in hand, doesn't have, you know, a Rain of Fire to combo with the Moarg, so Based could struggle to deal with this.
Quest Warlock always just a turn away, though, from finding those answers. However, might only have a turn or two left if those answers don't show up. At least Moarg plus Nether Breath can keep the game going. And there's Twisting Nether off the top.
Ow. Yeah, next turn that could come into play. Tap into Moarg Nether Breath seems fine. And Based, even though Pasca does have a huge hand here, I mean, she's only facing down 7 damage, and Pasca just continues to draw just like 1 mana minions.
Step up!
Now Pasca maybe just debating face versus 2/2. Yeah, it's going to be face.
And now Based, we know she has the guaranteed clear with the Twisting Nether. Yeah, and now it's on Pasca to, I think he's going to have to top deck Skull in order to win this game.
Right, very, very tough spot to be in here with no cards in hand as the Demon Hunter. And I know that the quality of your top decks are usually all right, but man, this is a long way from a win here for Pasca. It seems like. Yeah, Electabuzz just fine, 3 healing effectively.
Yep. The Augmerction off the top it does protect his 6/4 from at least dying to a trade into Electabuzz, but again, that's just not really what Pasca wanted to see here.
Netherwing, not helpful in this spot. Probably needs. Well, I mean, if you rain a fire, and whew, I mean that's still dangerously low.
This is getting very close. You know, Based healing up to 15 next turn, but already down to 7. And I think
spectator bug here. Did we just see a spectator bug?
Yeah, I think we bugged out.
This did happen.
I'm assuming you're seeing the same thing.
I think based on the mana that we saw get used, it was a Broodmother that came down. I think that's part of the spec bug, is if a Broodmother gets used, that it can create issues for the client here. We're seeing like arrows and stuff go in different directions on stream, but we're not seeing what is exactly happening. So and now we're seeing an emote, so we're just kind of guessing a little bit here about what's actually happening. Let's try to back out and see if we can jump back in real quick.
Yeah, unfortunate. I was not able to get in for that last game, but I think we'll be able to get into the next one. Just unfortunate that we saw that bug. Okay, they are starting up the next game. Donde, you might be a little bit slower on this than I am, but I am now able to see the game 3. So I guess we have to assume that Pasca. Oh no, Based won. Based is queuing up Warlock. Okay.
Yeah, I think we would have assumed Based won there by way of the fact that they Pasca had like no cards in hand. But yeah,
it's true. Pasca was pretty low. Yeah.
Unfortunate there that the spectate bug kind of kicked us a little bit. So I do apologize to the viewers. Early patch. This is what happens, I guess. So
yeah. Yeah, that's the price we pay for the nerfs, but well worth it in my opinion.
We paid $0, I believe, $0 if I recall.
the metaphorical price.
Even more math that I can do.
So Based, of course, staying on the Warlock, and Pasca is queuing up a Warrior deck that has Zephyrus in it. Do you think this is Highlander, Donde, or is this just it's control deck running Zeph?
Bomb
Warrior running Zephyrus?
Yes,
okay.
It has been more popular in the last week. I can attest. I have put it into my Bomb Warrior on occasion, and it, as you can see there, a second Wrench Caliber. It actually is a decent play in the late game if it shows up. Obviously, Pasca just playing it for tempo here, but it is a tech.
So, yeah, I guess I've seen some Bomb Warriors running Gallopron to get a little bit of a late game punch. I imagine the Zephyrus is the same thing, but now knowing this is Bomb Warrior, I'm wondering why Pasca didn't. Or no, actually, never mind. This makes sense because this is the counter to Quest Warlock.
Yeah, putting those bombs in deck. In a deck that wants to just fire off draws as fast as possible is very, very disruptive. And we see Dragon Queen Electabuzz 2 helps to increase the chances that things like that and Zephyrus get shut off for Based. So the Bomb Warrior perfectly fine here in this spot. And as we've mentioned before, this is now essentially series point. If Pasca cannot take these next 2 games, this is it. Spies wins. So very, very crucial game here for Pasca.
Very crucial game. He's looking to be in a very strong spot, though. I think often Quest Warlock doesn't often win this matchup, but when it does, I think generally it's when they can avoid the Warrior drawing those early Corsair caches or Wrench Calibers and then apply counter pressure. But we see Pasca with both Wrench Calibers in hand and Based already at 9 health. and the green skin in hand too. So just through face damage alone, even without any bombs, Pasca is already very close to lethal.
Base can heal for 16 next turn by Moarging her own minion, which she's going to have to do, I would imagine, at this point.
I think it has to be that, and it feels really bad, especially when I do think that, as Quest Warlock, you have to end up counter-pressuring. You can't out-heal the damage of all of the bombs, but she's going to have to do this just to stay alive.
I think the only other option would have been playing the Abyssal and then just hoping that there was not a double bomb draw, or the fact that Pasca couldn't get through it. But he had Shield Slam and everything, so there's possibilities that with a little bad luck, he could have still gotten through the giant taunt and killed you anyway. However, she does opt to make the I'm going to heal for 16 play.
Yeah, makes sense. And Pasca now is going to take out the Artificer, put another bomb into the deck. Donde, I believe that's 4 bombs in deck now?
That is 4 indeed.
Yeah. So if we see a Blastmaster Boom come into hand soon, that's going to be very, very strong for Pasca. But right now, I think Based is doing the counter pressure job very, very well. Has a very strong board. This is 14-14 total worth of stats. But Pasca can at least cleanly deal with the 7/7 here with Shield Block Armor Up into Shield Slam. And it looks like he is going to do just that. Gets the other Shield Slam too. So he could choose to kill off the 5/5 as well. And yeah, why not? This could be a full clear if Pasca chooses to trade the Wrench Caliber in.
And in goes the 5th bomb.
And he'll just go face instead. Yeah.
Sense Demons is going to draw both Broodmothers, as we know both of those Moargs have been used.
So neither of them are bugged out. They are both appearing correctly in hand, so hopefully we'll be able to see all of this game.
I think it's Plot Twist that is causing that bug.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, if you Plot Twist, I think that's where it starts to get a little bit sketchy. However, Pasca plays that Blastmaster Boom and gets a full board of bombs. Kinda tough spot now for Base, because that's a lot of potential bombs going face. And what do you do here?
Huge. Yeah, I mean, Twisting Nether is a full clear. Also, I guess trading, and then I was gonna say Rain of Fire, Dark Skies. Dark Skies into Netherwing is also a full clear, but yeah, feels pretty bad to take all of this face damage.
Yeah.
All coming in 12
damage
right now.
And another.
It's gonna be even more after this.
Yeah, this is scary time now. 1 bomb draw for Based is game. And there's 5 out of 16 cards in the deck as bombs. So Plot Twist is shut off. You cannot use that at this point.
Oh man. Yeah, Based is gonna have to Plot Twist and hope that she draws exactly the Broodmothers and no bombs, but I mean, it's getting pretty unlikely at this point. Okay.
That's
that does
1 turn down, several turns to go here for Based as far as survival is concerned.
See, I'm wondering, she can play Dragon Queen just as an 8/8 next turn. Of course, it won't be active because of all the bombs that are in deck, but I mean, if theoretically she gets an 8/8 and it can stick, maybe she would have a line to win the game, but I just don't really see it panning out with what Pasca has in hand.
And Pasca will set Base to 3, meaning the next bomb draw will be Overkill instead. Armor up, that's fine. He's just going to let the bombs do the work if they can. What's the draw? Not a bomb.
And another not a bomb. Based is still technically alive.
Corsair cashes a dead draw, assuming no other weapons in deck, which I don't see what other weapons would be here. Bladestorm played down by Pasca, just trying to clear as much of the board as possible. Maybe see a Battle Rage draw here.
Yeah, and why not? Usually it's not a good move to get both of your skippers down at the same time, but at this point Pasca just wants to do it to get that extra proc from Battle
Definitely.
Rage, just draw into an, possibly another bit of damage. He's just so close to closing out this game.
And he can even go ahead and wrench, or get the, or I was saying,
And
if
there
he
it
needed it, he could have wrench Caliber next turn with the Horde Pillager, but as we see, that is not required as a bomb finally makes its way to the top of base deck. We're going to game 5.
Wow. And I'm just seeing this in chat right now.
Yes, I see.
Ted saying in chat, yeah, Colt versus Pams will come down to Quaz versus Mike. Wow. Going into a game 5 there, or a match 5, and going into the game 5 of this match, faced against Pasca.
Embrace the chaos.
Elune give me strength.
And we will see what type of priest this is. Psyche split, so it's the Cube Priest for based.
Yeah. And this is a matchup, against the Bomb Warrior, the Priest is definitely favored. This is tough, but the Warrior can pull it out. But I would have to say based is definitely favored here and has a pretty solid opening here with, her choice of 1-drop on turn 1, and then looking like it's going to be an Escape Mana Saber into Psyche Split down the line.
And as we mentioned before, this is a game that Pasca has to have for NPH to stay alive in the series here, as it's now, you see the graphic says 9-6 on the side. If you add in the 2-2, it's effectively 11-8, which means a based win still locks the series up for Spies.
Pasca, the Demonic Lackey pickup. So often this matchup does go pretty long. I think that's a pretty important Lackey pickup, because if that's a valuable dragon, that could be what Pasca needs to sort of get some value, get some face damage in the late game to close out the game.
Yeah, this is a very frustrating matchup for Warrior in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I've definitely been on the Warrior side of this more than the Priest, but it is winnable. Often involves getting a little bit lucky with the bombs.
Yeah.
So
essentially, you want all the bombs to come out at the same time if you can. If they drip out and base is able to heal over multiple turns using Apotheosis, Psyche Split, etc., you just don't really have enough. Like, for a Warrior with this deck, inevitability is your win condition most of the time. Your opponent's going to draw those bombs, but in this case, the Priest doesn't care. The Priest will continue to have threats with Galakron, of course, and will be able to keep healing. So yeah, it's about 38% for the Warrior in this match.
Yeah, pretty rough. I was actually looking at Pasca maybe going for the Blade Storm that turn, trading in with his weapon into the 1/2, and then just completely clearing off the Mana Saber to shut down a Psyche Split or a Grave Rune, because Mana Saber is such an important card in this matchup. He's going to choose to go wide instead, but I think we'll get a little bit punished here with this Psyche Split coming down, and now it's going to be really tough for him to deal with either of these Mana Sabers.
Pasca gonna opt to brawl here. And
brawl
see if
is the answer. Yeah. He can, as long as a Mana Saber doesn't live, I think he's in a good spot. But no, not in the cards for Pasca this game. Based, choosing to just go for the Observer, forgoes the Renew, which could have been used to pick up a spell here, but I think she's going to leave that flexibility for some time later when she knows what she wants from the spell, because Base doesn't need the 3 heal right now, and she doesn't really need a specific pre-spell to fill out her curve.
Yeah, taking it slow is fine here for Based. Holy Nova pickup, not not terribly amazing in this matchup. And Base will renew and see what she gets for spell options.
I guess Penance here, maybe Forbidden Words if you're trying to be really defensive, but yeah, I like Penance. It's 3 extra heal. I feel like the way that you lose this matchup as the Priest is just by your opponent getting lucky with the bomb draws, but getting a little bit of extra heal can let you live another turn.
And Deathwing just comes down, and now you wonder,
Yeah.
if you're Pasca, you're saying, hope you have a way to deal with this. And we see right now that Based doesn't have that immediate option, but Mirazon equals a Deathwing of her own.
How to be the Mirazon. Yeah, that was a huge pickup. I think she got that Mirazon off of like a disciple of Galvatron pretty early in the game. Yeah. And this is tough, but see, Pasca only has 2 spells two bombs in deck, but I think it's very tempting to just want to push this 12 damage base, knowing that your opponent didn't have an answer last time, right?
Yeah, I think you have to, knowing that the trade is going to be done for you. What I would say that the alternate route that could have been considered was mind flaring the 12-12 last turn, and then just going penance crazy this turn. And killing it, so because you could have done that plus the 3/3 into it, killed it, got the same effect, and you were still gonna take 12 damage either way. Oh, but Apotheosis on the 12/12 is brutal.
Oh my god!
And still gonna get the Karj anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess the line pays off for Base because you were thinking Pasca might trade the 12/12 into your 12/12, so now she's gonna get 2 12/12s regardless, and she's gonna go ahead and heal a boatload.
Yeah, I mean, the triple penance was bad enough, but with this Apotheosis too, I guess she doesn't even need to play it, right?
No.
She can just triple penance. This is also fine. You push 20 face damage this way.
Yeah, I think with the triple penance, you're okay with what you with where you are health wise. I think that's perfectly fine. But Apotheosis in your back pocket is just essentially game and series ending, it feels like. And Pasca still digging for answers with that shield block, but I don't know if there is one. A second Brawl, perhaps, would have been the answer. None of those in his hand are a Brawl, or even, at the very least, a Blade Storm. So armor it is. He
has 2 armor smiths at least. Pasca can at least survive for a little longer, but this is tough, especially with the 12/12 coming out of the Mind Flayer.
So much rage.
Man.
I will not take more. Drink the blood. Make haste.
And yeah, this is
just it for Pasca.
Yeah. 20 health is not enough.
What a crazy series. I mean, Pasca was pretty unfavored in this matchup anyways, but I mean, this is not usually how you see the Cube Priest and Bomb Warrior matchup play out, but unorthodox, Based gets it done, takes the series, and sends her team to the finals.
Yeah, congratulations. I mean, very well fought on both sides there by Pasca. A couple of those games, like, just not a whole lot of lines that he had there, but Based similar with the Druid match. But as you mentioned, congratulations to Spies, our first finals team. Man, it would be nice to get Based in here for an interview if we can.
Definitely, yeah, would definitely be down to do that. And then, of course, after that, Spies gets to see who they end up playing. Is it going to be Cult or is it going to be Tampams, depending on the result of the Quaz versus Mike match? So we'll have to stay tuned for that over on Quaz's channel.
All right, well, we are going to get Based in here for an interview.
Perfect.
So let me add her real quick. Hey there, Based, can you hear us? Hello, Based.
Hello.
Hey, well, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Bet it feels good to be sending your team to the ship.
Yes, it does.
I can tell by the sound of your voice it's more relief at this point than anything else, especially with going to a game 5 in a clinching series is very stressful.
Yeah, I kind of figured that the Warlock was just going to lose to the Balmor. I kind of expected that. So I was, really hoping that I could get there with the Q Priest, which I have not played a ton of. So I was a bit nervous about that. I definitely thought that, oh wow, I really kind of blew it not prepping that as much as I should have.
Yeah, it's definitely a newer deck to the meta. Only like maybe 2 weeks or so has it really been around. So yeah, I cannot fault you for not having much experience with it, but it seemed to go pretty well for you. And fortunately, a very favored matchup too against that Bomb Warrior. So first of all, let's relive one of the moments that I'm sure was most frustrating for you. How bad did that Druid game feel with your stacked hand of Mount Seller and Emerald Explorer there?
I looked at that and said, I deserve this after the previous Druid.
The first game.
That's Druid. One person's gonna be unhappy with it, so I was like, well, I'm not gonna get too upset about this. This is just what happens, and let's focus on the next one. I'll see what I can do. I had a shot if maybe I top decked Ironbark, but I didn't. So, oh well.
Yeah, I think that was, that's one of the things that a lot of people talk about being very frustrated with Druid is that sometimes the agency is just ripped away from you, like you saw there. There was just absolutely nothing you could do. But the Onyxia play was nice, of course, the game prior. So Druid still did do some work for you. So we were watching, obviously, the first game of this series, or the first series of the night, I should say, before you played, watching your teammate play. Did that add any extra stress here? Just kind of hoping it never got to the point where this series mattered, or did you really you want the ball in your hands as the quarterback?
I wouldn't describe myself as the quarterback. We got a captain.
I know that.
But I know what you mean. I turned off that match after the Hunter Warlock game. Where Chubbs was playing the Hunter. I was getting a little stressed.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I already played one match. Spoilers, if you haven't looked at the Legacy results, I lost to Adam. Got crushed. So I was already not feeling Hearthstone too much at the time after losing in the finals. And so I kind of was just like, I need to take a moment of just hanging out. I spectated Dabs and kind of joked around with him as he crushed people on ladder to just kind of just breathe and remember it's a game,
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun to see what other people do, stress management, tilt management, etc. Because I know for me, the urge to just keep jamming games is there. And you could have gone right to ladder and been like, let me just work this out. But if it went poorly, that mentally just could completely ruin you. So I think it's nice to take your foot off the gas a little bit there. And I think you made the right decision.
Yeah, I was not going back to ladder. I dropped from 300 to 1,200 in the last day. So I was like, nope, no ladder.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's... Mm-hmm.
Demon Hunter's not that good. I'm just gonna throw it out there. It's just not the same deck.
I was actually going to bring that up because you didn't bring Demon Hunter tonight, and I think that's something that has been talked about a little bit. Masters Tour, a lot of the commentators have talked about. Is it a good enough inclusion? Is Warglaive specifically a good enough inclusion in the deck? You didn't even feel it was good enough to bring it into your lineup at all.
So a little bit of that was I knew I was going to bring in a Legacy. I thought that it was going to be still strong there, and so I felt like in Hero specifically, there's a lot of counters. I won't go into them, but I think there's quite a few counters for it now, and so I knew I was going to bring it in Legacy, and so Pasca had submitted, and so I wanted to submit, and so I intentionally didn't bring it here in hopes that Adam would think I'm just totally off it. But after testing it for the couple days between submission and game time, I was like, I can't. Warglaives is really rough. People are throwing on the Band-Aid of Mana Saber. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, you don't blow them out once you have the board, and like so Druid can catch up a lot of times. Hunter can catch up. But I jammed those games on ladder. I knew I was losing rank. I could have switched decks, but I needed to find a passable Demon Hunter. And I think Pasca and I probably landed on the same one with the history buffs.
Yeah, we were talking about that during the match. I know I had seen that one time specifically before tonight, and as I had mentioned during the actual game, the only time I saw it was during a game where I was getting blown out anyway, so I could not tell if it was good or necessary to the deck. But yeah, I'm not sold on Demon Hunter right now. I definitely think that you're in the right mindset when it comes to not bringing that in the lineup. Of course, this being the last 2 weeks of the season, limited time to use that knowledge, but hey, you figured it out faster, and that's why your team could be going to the finals here instead of in Pasca's team. So, I guess we're going to have to find out who you play. That's going to be coming up here in about 5 minutes on Quaz's channel.
Well, my understanding was at least one of the matches was starting at 10.
Yes, that match is already finished. So the match of Quaz versus Mike will be on stream to decide that series. So there is no conclusion yet to tell you because we don't know who you're playing yet.
Did you say that was on Quaz's stream?
Yes, I linked that in chat a little while ago.